In China, this winter has seen more and more cities choked in smog, sounding alarm over the environmental issue brought by the 3 decades of rapid growth. Environmental issues have become a big concern for the Chinese public and are high on the agenda of China's ongoing parliamentary and political advisory sessions.
Week-long smoke was a huge inconvenience for us, as the poor air forced me to stay indoor if unnecessary.
I've begun to wear a mask recently due to the poor air quality. Yes, the smog has influenced my daily life, as the polluted air may damage our respiration systems.
I think the haze smells like smoke, and it hurts my throat. The heavy smog here has caused lots of crashes. It's dangerous for us to ride motorbikes here, for we cannot see clearly what's 100 or 200 meters ahead.
It's particularly uncomfortable, yes. I've got a bit of a sore throat now. I'm coughing a little more than I have done before. And you can almost taste the smog when you go outside.
Official data show that 2013 had the most smoggy days of any year in the past 52 years. Since the beginning of December, at least 25 regions and provinces have reported high pollution levels, particularly of PM2.5, which are tiny floating particles measuring 2.5 micrometers or less in diameter. PM2.5 particles are especially hazardous as they can settle in lungs and cause respiratory problems, among other illnesses. In Beijing, only 5 days were free of hazardous weather in January, with repeatedly higher than normal readings of PM2.5. Most recently, a thick blanket of haze covered Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei province from February 20th to 26th. China's top decision-makers say they are aware of the enormous problem, and a new way must be found out to properly balance the economic growth and environmental protection.
During the session, we've discussed extensively a limit on car purchases and relocation of pollutant enterprises. I think the regulation will represent the voices of grassroots residents and experts.
The air is different from the land. Land has city or province boundaries, but air does not. I hope a nationwide law will be issued soon. This is a solution to air pollution.
Pollution is the price we pay for economy progress. London and Los Angeles also had similar problem before. When they had air pollution, the two cities did not pay enough attention to solve this problem, but were busy making money. Later, they found that the money they had made was not enough to fix the environment.
In response, the government has been on the move. A $284 billion plan was sanctioned by the Chinese government last September to tackle the worsening air quality. It's aimed at improving air quality within 5 years, decreasing the number of days of heavy pollution, and improving air quality in major city clusters. The government wants to cut the density of inhalable particles by at least 10% in major cities nationwide by 2017. A document issued by the State Council last August set a goal to raise the total output value of environmental protection industries to $732 billion by 2015, or on average a 15% yearly increase. In the document, the State Council also vows to spur technological innovation, increase consumption demand for green and energy-saving products, and boost the services industry related to environmental protection.
Poor air quality in large swaths of China, particularly in Beijing, is making international headlines. But China is not the only country that has been plagued by such problems. It is a problem that big cities in industrialized countries repeatedly ran into for decades. In the process of global industrialization, Los Angeles of the United States, London of Britain, and the Ruhr industrial area in Germany all suffered from severe air pollution in the last century.
British capital of London had been notorious for its severe air pollution, which peaked in 1952 during a weeks-long Great Smog event, the worst air pollution in the history of the United Kingdom. According to government medical reports, the lasting smog killed 4,000 people and sickened 100,000 more. More recent research suggests the total number of fatalities was considerably greater, at about 12,000. The event finally led to the enactment of the Clean Air Act 1956, a milestone in the development of a legal framework to protect the environment. The act introduced smoke control areas in some towns and cities in which only smokeless fuels could be burned. It also shifted home sources of heat towards cleaner energies such as electricity and gas.
Governments tackled the smog problem primarily because they had very little choice. The problem was very obvious to all of the public, and it was causing serious problems with health, with transport. People couldn't see where they were going. With industry, workers were off sick all the time, so it made it very difficult for the day-to-day running of the city to carry on. They tackled it in a number of different ways. They passed sort of several pieces of legislation, but the main aims of those were, one, to vastly reduce the amount of coal that was burned in the city, both in people's homes and by industrial users. They promoted using gas for household heating and for household cooking rather than coal, and tried to encourage a lot of industry to move outside of the city to areas where their impacts were going to be less severe for the people.
Thanks to the law, London's air has been improved a lot since then. Battersea, an intercity district of South London, noted for concentrated industries, had been associated with pollution.
Behind me, you can find the Battersea power station, burning up to 10,000 tons a week, and it used to be the largest power station in the UK.
Nowadays, one can hardly associate the district with pollution if it remains the obsolete Battersea power station are not spotted. Clean Air Act 1956 played a key role in the change, as burning coal gradually faded away from the country since it took effect. By 1975, the number of smoggy days in London fell from dozens of days a year to 15 days, then eventually to just 5 days a year by 1980.
Yet the story is not at an end. From the start of the 1980s, there is an increase in number of cars which will come to replace coal as the major source of pollution in the UK.
Like all big European cities, London has problems with nitrogen dioxide pollution and airborne particles of PM10 and PM2.5 from traffic. To cope with the new problems, Londoners have come up with new ideas and technologies.
London's been doing a very large experiment with applying dust suppressants to roads. A chemical called calcium magnesium acetate has been sprayed on roads, and if you like, this just makes them a little more sticky. It means that some of the pollutants stick to the roads rather than being suspended in the air.
Particle filters have also been attached to the exhausts of buses to reduce emissions.
Tests that have been done by Transport for London on their buses indicate that fitting particle traps to buses can be very effective. Also, the Mayor is very committed to hybrid buses. These are buses, of course, that have both a combination of diesel engines and battery power, so that when a bus stops at a bus stop, for instance, the engine cuts out. When the bus moves forward just a short distance, it can do this on electric power. This is then charged by the diesel engine. And because the diesel engine is off for some of the time, this can also, in combination with particle filters, be quite an effective way of controlling air pollution from buses.
In addition, the European Union requires its member states to have no more than 35 polluted days, or else face huge fines. However, pollution in megacities, including London, is so complex that all spheres could be involved. As an economic tool, a congestion charge on each private vehicle entering the city was introduced in London.
Today, the London congestion charge for large cars has risen to £10 a day, equivalent to 100 yuan. By law, all of the money goes directly into improving London's transport system. And while there have been many complaints about the charge, the facts show that the whole area has had a 30% reduction in traffic congestion. London's planning over the next 20 years showed a decrease of 9% in private car traffic. Imposing a congestion charge is mainly used to improve the development of the public transport system.
The city also has a long-term project to develop public transport and reduce pollution from vehicles.
I can certainly say in London, most of us are expected to and encouraged to use public transport. I don't think many of us think too much about using black limousines because we just don't have them.
For Qureshi, London made a few mistakes in the past. It's important not to repeat them. More importantly, he believes big cities should plan ahead to cope with increasing demands.
I think the lesson there is that you don't wait for it to get so bad that you do it then. Much better to put things in place beforehand and cope with the population demands on your cities. And I'm sure that's what's probably happening in China right now, given the vast movement of people into the cities.
What London underwent in the past has proved that fixing environment usually costs much more than the earnings from destroying it.
I think the main thing that it's important for the Chinese government to recognise is that inaction also has an expense. The impact of air pollution related health problems puts a huge drain on countries' healthcare systems. That's one of the main ways in which the economic costs of air pollution are felt. So that cost of inaction has to be weighed against what it's going to cost to take some of the measures that will help address the problem.
This is CNC World, a new perspective.